Welcome back. It is time for passage 3. All right, we are coming to the end of the IELTS Academic Reading Test, and generally it gets more and more difficult as the questions go along, just like the listening test. But let's see, can we use enough tips and strategy and smarts and thinking and English to even do well at the last part of the test? I think so. Come do it with me. But first, I want you to know something. I am expecting my second baby at any second right now. We are past 40 weeks, and so any minute my second child could arrive. I am extremely excited. So if you see me leaving during this test right now, you know why, because my baby is coming. All right, let's begin. Passage 3. And what are we doing first? If it's your first time watching my videos, step number 1 is reading the title so we can set our mind correctly on what we are reading about. Our title here is The History of the Tortoise. Great question. What is a tortoise? Well, today you will learn, if you didn't know already, that tortoise means turtle. I don't know why sometimes animals have 2 names, a scientific name and then a common name. Some animals just have 1 name. But tortoise, that's the more scientific, more advanced, formal, fancy name. Turtle is what we say every day. All right, so we're reading about the history of turtles. Okay, easy enough. Let's read our questions. What is step number 2? Yep, it's reading our instructions. I tried to trick you. Read the instructions carefully and make sure you understand them. No more than 2 words. I like those. Those are a little bit easy for me. 2 words, no numbers, 1 or 2, that's it. And then we have true, false, not given. Hey, we did those already. We can do those. And there's only 3. So let's underline and circle our keywords, which is step number 3 in my method. All right, 27. What had to transfer from sea to land before any animals could migrate? Interesting question. Sea to land had to transfer. It had to transfer. It didn't have a choice. Before any animals could migrate. Before, that's important, any animals. So either it was the first animal or it was something before the first animal. Okay, number 28. Which 2 processes, hey, they made it in capital letters and in bold. 2 processes. And look, no more than 2 words. So we need 2 processes in 2 words. That might be tricky. 2 processes are mentioned as those in which animals had to make big changes as they moved onto land. So sea to land, moved onto land, same thing. Alrighty. What can help us find this? Not really any amazing locating keywords, processes that will help us, but it might and probably will be paraphrased. Big changes. You better believe that's going to be paraphrased. Major changes, major transformations. What will they say? Can you guess what they will say? Sometimes I try to guess what paraphrase they will use because I know they love that. Sometimes I'm right. 29. Which physical feature, so we're answering that, physical feature possessed by their ancestors do whales lack? Lack is a word you must know. Lack means whales don't have it. If you lack something, you don't have it. So what do whales not have, but their ancestors did? Ancestors maybe also good. Lack. Ancestors and lack great for locating and for answering, but maybe paraphrased. So sometimes our keywords for locating are paraphrases. Number 30, which animals might, yes, these are the keywords I love for locating. Ichthyosaurs, no paraphrase for that specific name. We can look for that easily. Which animals might ichthyosaurs have resembled? Might have resembled. Okay. 31 through 33. Yeah, let's do those. 31 through 33, these go in order. Do these go in order? Usually they do. But remember, different sections go in order by themselves. So 31 doesn't necessarily come after 30. Turtles were among the first group of animals, turtles means tortoises, to migrate back to the sea. So turtles, usually that would be a great keyword for locating. But remember, this whole passage, because we read our title, we know that's not so helpful because the whole passage is about tortoises or turtles. But is it true or is it false or is it not given? Back to the sea. So look at this. Sea to land, and then now land to sea, migrate back to the sea. Key distinction. Were they among the first group of animals? So among the first group of animals doesn't mean they were number one. It means they were in the group of the first ones, maybe second, maybe third. If it didn't say among and it said the first group, that means they had to be number one. So a distinction there. 32, it is always difficult to determine. Remember, always, that's always important for answering. It is always difficult to determine where an animal lived when its fossilized remains are incomplete. For answering, fossilized remains. This is probably good for locating the answer. Maybe it says fossilized, the verb form, or maybe it talks about fossils as the noun form. But fossil, that's pretty specific. 33, the habitat of ichthyosaurs, yay! Habitat, the place where it lives, can be determined by the appearance of their fossilized remains. Is it determined by the appearance of their fossilized remains? Or is it determined by the structure or the makeup of their fossilized remains? So let's see. So these are 27 through 33. Next video will be the next questions. And like I always say, read all questions related to that passage before you begin looking for answers and reading the passage. Because of this video, I will just do these and then I will go look for my answers. Otherwise, it will be a long video because I like to talk and I like to teach you in detail. Do you like it when I teach you in detail? I hope you do. That's my style because I want to be the best and I think you want to be the best. We don't just want, I just want to get a good enough score and live my life, just make it good enough. I don't want to be great, I just want to be okay. That's not me. And I think that's probably not you either. You want to do the best that you possibly can. If you can get an 8, you want an 8, right? If you think you can get a 9 and you want to get a 9, let's do it, baby. Let's go get a 9. I'll help you. All right. So here we go. Let's do it like this. Can you see it well? Okay. History of the tortoise. What transferred before any animals could migrate to processes? Turtles, among the first. Moved out onto the land. Okay. And we mustn't forget the plans without whose prior invasion. Hey, look at this. Without whose prior invasion of the land, prior means before, invasion means they went to the land, they moved or migrated to the land. None of the other migrations could have happened. So without what? Without whose prior invasion? That sounds a lot like our answer. What had to transfer before? Yeah. Did you find it? It is plants. Our answer is plants. Mark where you found it. Great job. Two processes. Big changes, moving onto land. As they moved onto land, moving from water to land involved a major redesign, big changes. So we already have half of our question here. Moving from water to land, moved onto land. Every aspect of life, two processes, including breathing and reproduction. I think those are our processes. Breathing is a process, reproducing is a process. But wait, no more than 2 words. What do we do, guys? We have 3. Breathing and reproduction, 2 words. This is a great example of what you do here. Breathing and reproduction. You can put a comma to show that these are separate, but we need 2 words, breathing, reproduction. Don't put and will give you a 3rd word and make your answer wrong. All right, good job, guys. We found 28. It was right after 27. So this is another thing to think about. Sometimes 27 is here and 28 comes way later. And it makes you nervous, right? I'm reading and I didn't find any answers. It makes us nervous, but it's okay. And sometimes the answer comes right after the last one. Yep. 29, physical feature ancestor Wells lack. So we didn't do this. Wells is a great, we didn't mark that earlier. If you were yelling at me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you again. Wells is a great keyword. This is about tortoises. So if we see Wells in here, it's probably the right place. I'm looking for Wells. I see Wells right here, but I didn't look. Here's Wells way back here. What do they not have? Ancestors ceased to be land creatures altogether and reverted to the full marine habits of their. They don't even come ashore to breathe. They do, however, still breathe air, having never developed anything equivalent to the gills. Never developed, which means they don't have. They don't have what? Gills. Equivalent to the gills of their earlier marine incarnation. Incarnation just means alive in a physical body. So, which is earlier marine incarnation is a paraphrase for ancestors. Their ancestors, they said, had gills, but now they don't. So that is what they lack. Answer is gills. All right, there's 29. 30, ichthyosaurs. What did they might possibly resemble? Easy to find that. Let's find it. Do you see it? Oh, look at that, beautiful. Yep, that's the first place they mentioned it. Ichthyosaurs were reptilian contemporaries of the dinosaurs. Tricky. So this sounds like it would be dinosaurs, right? They were contemporaries. But what does contemporaries mean? It doesn't necessarily mean they looked like them. It means they were together at the same time. So ichthyosaurs existed when dinosaurs existed, but with fins and streamlined bodies, it might be dinosaurs if they both had something. That means they resembled each other. The fossils look like dolphins. I think that's probably better because look like is a paraphrase for resembled. Look like dolphins. And they surely lived like dolphins. Remember I said resembled can have 2 meanings, in appearance or in action. Like dolphins. I think it's dolphins. What do you think? Yeah. With turtles, it is a little less obvious. Okay. I think that's it, because it's making the comparison. They looked a lot like and acted a lot like dolphins, not like turtles. What? 30. Thank you. I forgot what number that was. Now let's go to the true, false, not given. So true, false, not given could start here. It could start later. I don't know. Turtles, first group of animals to migrate back to the sea. I think we were that was talking about water to land. Turtles went back to the sea a very long time ago. And like all vertebrate returnees to the water, they breathe air. This sounds very close to our answer. Let's read that again. Turtles went back to the sea a very long time ago. So, among the first group of animals to migrate back to the sea. Doesn't say if they were one of the first. Just because they migrated back a long time ago, it doesn't mean they were one of the first. Because maybe the ichthyosaurs, dinosaurs, whatever, maybe they migrated back to the sea even longer ago than the turtles. We'll put a little baby NG, just in case. The answer might come later. And sometimes for the true, false, not given, if you can remember 2 questions in your head as you're looking, it's a bonus. It's hard to do, I think. But for example, if you can have 31 and 32 in your head as you're looking, it helps a little bit. I usually don't do it. It's kind of hard, because if you find 32 here, well, we know 31 must come before it, so you don't waste time reading. Fossilized remains, always difficult if the fossils are incomplete. Okay. Ichthyosaurs. Do we have ichthyosaurs anywhere else? Because that will help us. If we find 33 and it's on the front page, we don't need the back page. Is ichthyosaurs even on the back page? Let's see. And yes, I'm really doing this right now with you. I am not playing games trying to find these answers, because I really want you to see how I do this. Do you see ichthyosaurs anywhere here? I don't. That's interesting, very interesting. Ichthyosaurs were back here. The habitat. Oh, this is tough. Terrestrial ancestor before the fossils. You might wonder how we can tell whether fossil animals lived on land or in water. That would be the habitat. Especially if only fragments are found. Look at that. Only fragments are found, and it's talking about fossils. That sounds like 32. Fossilized remains are incomplete. Fragments means pieces or parts. So if you have parts, but you don't have all of it, it's incomplete. Always difficult. Remember I told you in a previous video, if you see the word always or only or something like this, it's very important for answering it. And a lot of times the answers to those are false or no. They like to use that as a trick. Well, kind of a trick, testing you. So because they said always, I'm already thinking 60% chance that it's no. Especially if only fragments. Sometimes it's obvious. Here we go. Sometimes it's obvious. And look, always difficult. Well, it's not always difficult if sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's obvious means sometimes it's easy. So what's the answer? It's false. False. And mark it. Mark it, mark it. Sometimes it's obvious. So 31 must come before first group of animals. We thought not given because a very long... I'm thinking 31 is here. Usually, even with the not given answers, usually but not always, it really comes from a certain place, a place where they're trying to trick you. And I think the trick here is this is the area they want you to think about. They want you to be tricked by a very long time ago and assume that means among the first group. But let's find 33, the habitat of ichthyosaurs. Still haven't found that. Ichthyosaurs. Ah, look at, we missed it. In the water, that's their habitat. The habitat can be determined by the appearance of the fossilized remains. The fossils look like dolphins. That's the appearance, how that looks like. And they surely... With turtles, it is a little less obvious. One way to tell is by measuring the bones of the forelimbs. Sometimes it's obvious, fossilized. This sounds like yes, or sorry. This sounds like true, don't you think? It didn't say can always be determined, but it can be. Yeah, I think that's true. And that would be 33 here. So 32, 33. And I think 31. I'm going to go with not given. Not given. I'll check one more time. Yeah, there we go. So we have 27 through 33. I believe these are the correct answers. Again, you really have to think. And the more you practice these exams, the more you can begin to think like IELTS. And you want to think like IELTS because how I think, how you think are totally different, right? How your mom thinks, how your uncle, your friend, your neighbor, we all think differently. But we want what IELTS says is the answer, not what he thinks is the answer or what I think the answer is. Because sometimes I would choose a different answer if it were me. But you don't need Brett's answers. You need IELTS's answers. How do they think? And they do have a similar thinking style and strategy. And I'm telling you that, I'm teaching you that, but also you need to learn it for yourself by practice. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Leave a comment and like it if it helped you, and I will see you in the next video. You guys are awesome.